little challenges to power in a sort of quite naughty way are helpful. So like if you say to a mentor something like, I always call them mentors and their practice supervisors now, but I think mentor is a way nicer way of putting it. But if you say to them something like, hey, third year, feeling quite overwhelmed. Tell you what, love the feedback, love the constructive criticism, always very welcome, as much as you can find. One or two things I'm doing well. That'd be lovely. That'd be it would make my day. It would give me so much more energy. I know it's not your job to support me emotionally. I know this isn't the case. Regardless, I am aware of my own learning needs. Like, just saying a few bits and pieces like that. And sometimes what will happen is you'll get a bit of an eye roll. And that, for people like me, is just an arrow to the heart. Like, if you get the eye roll from your practice supervisor, or like, say I'm working with an obstetrician on something new and they're just like it is sort of like, oh no, I've been hurt, I'm like woman down. But on the other hand, like, they do tend to, the number of times I've seen them sort it out after that. And as well, like, I'm supporting somebody who is not identifiable from what I'm going to say, but she's going through a really, really hard time in that the unit that she's in there are definitely cultural tensions going on there, and she is being challenged by every single one of her colleagues. Like, it's quite a small place, and everybody's having a moment of turning on her. And so we did the whole like listening and trying to work out what to do and what happens if you go to HR and what happens. We did all of that stuff. And then this week, everybody's kind of being lovely to each other and moving on a bit. And I'm not saying that, you know, those things do need challenging, and there are certain avenues, I believe, that will be really helpful there. But again, our theme of like the worst thing possible, we always think that's going to happen. Obviously that's going to happen. I'm going to have to leave. Like, I have to leave the trust. And you know, often it just isn't true. So why don't we, like, there's negativity bias, and there's you know, pre-programmed anxiety that a lot of us have, because I do think that if you are an anxious person, you're almost more likely to end up in healthcare, because you have this small sweet part of you that's always trying to look after you, because you're worried about something, or something has happened in your early life, or something has happened in the early life of your parents that you've got. So you're just very good at looking after people who are in vulnerable situations, because that's what your brain and body is telling you to do with you all the time. So this is my personal theory on healthcare. I think loads of people come into it for exactly that reason. But like, what do we do about that? Because it's such a skill. But on the other hand, we do walk around just going, this awful thing is going to happen. And I've had two personal examples of this in my life at the moment, which I might talk about in more detail when they've completely blown over. But I could have benefited from going to a place of, actually, what if the best thing happens? Is that any less likely than the really awful thing? So like, how do we sit with that?